Today, more than ever, Burkina Faso finds itself navigating unprecedented challenges. Yet in the face of adversity, a new kind of patriotism is emerging, one that focuses not on waiting for help, but on building a self-sufficient future. Quietly and without global fanfare, Burkina Faso has pulled off something extraordinary: the manufacturing of 500 fully electric buses, entirely from scratch. No foreign aid, no imported parts, no international headlines, just pure homegrown innovation. Unlike many African nations that rely on assembling foreign-designed vehicles, Burkina Faso's approach was entirely different. These buses didn't arrive in shipping containers, nor were they labeled with "Made in China" or handled by overseas engineers. Every component, from chassis to software, was conceived, crafted, and assembled within the nation's borders. This wasn't a flash-in-the-pan government PR stunt or an NGO-driven pilot program. It was the fruit of years of investment and technical education, local expertise, and bold political will. At the heart of this breakthrough is the once neglected UA 2000 industrial zone, now transformed into a symbol of technological resurgence. Here, young engineers, many of whom have never left Burkina Faso, collaborated with local metalworkers, electricians, and coders to create a transportation system built specifically for the country's needs. Their lack of international degrees was compensated by their deep understanding of local conditions: extreme heat, poor road quality, inconsistent electricity, and budget limitations. Instead of copying foreign designs, they reimagined the concept of a bus to suit Burkina Faso's landscape. What they built was more than just a vehicle, it was a solution. These electric buses glide quietly over rough terrain, consume no fossil fuels, and require significantly less maintenance than the noisy diesel models they replace. What's even more remarkable is the political risk it took to make it happen. While many leaders wait years for green lights from foreign lenders and consultants, the administration in Ouagadougou acted decisively. Using internal funds, they built production facilities and empowered local teams to test, fail, learn, and try again, free from red tape and external interference. Critics warned the project would collapse without international expertise. They said the West would frown upon such independence, but the government pressed forward, choosing national capability over foreign dependence, and the outcome has silenced doubters. A clean, quiet fleet is now operating in the capital. More than just public transport, it's a declaration of autonomy. But building the buses was only the first step. Powering them sustainably in a country where electricity is unreliable posed a new challenge. Instead of falling back on traditional energy sources or waiting for global partners to step in, Burkina Faso turned to its most abundant resource, the sun. And they didn't stop at rooftop solar panels. They developed a decentralized solar charging infrastructure designed specifically for these buses. Rapid charging stations were placed at key points throughout the city, each capable of charging a bus from empty to full in just 30 minutes. These buses, part of the newly christened Eto'e fleet, can travel up to 330 kilometers on a single charge. The solar stations don't rely on the national grid and don't require fuel from foreign suppliers. Instead, energy is drawn from the sun, stored in advanced battery systems, and used directly for daily transport needs. The impact is massive. Transport workers, who once spent large portions of their income on fuel, now save significantly, while air quality in the city has improved thanks to the reduction in exhaust fumes. Yet the real shift is psychological. By breaking free from energy dependency, Burkina Faso has taken a bold step toward true sovereignty. Where once global fuel prices could destabilize local economies, now a decentralized solar network keeps things running regardless of global turmoil. While other countries still talk about energy transition in policy papers, Burkina Faso has already made the leap in real life, with real passengers and measurable results. Still, the transformation didn't stop there. The buses were given not only power, but intelligence. Each vehicle is equipped with a smart system capable of gathering and transmitting real-time data. Every stop, delay, route, and movement is tracked and fed into a centralized network for analysis. This enables live route optimization, faster response times, and smarter city planning. Passengers can now use mobile apps to see where their bus is, how full it is, and when it will arrive. No more waiting under the harsh sun without any information. Meanwhile, city officials use the data to identify traffic bottlenecks and plan new routes more effectively. The electric fleet has become a data-driven map of the city, drawing a new future every day. The smart infrastructure wasn't imported, it was developed by local software engineers and coders. Many were self-taught or trained in fast-growing boot camps within Burkina Faso. What once required massive foreign funding and years of development was achieved with local talent, open source tools, and national resolve. The results are not only efficient, but transparent, with every journey tracked and every charge logged. Corruption in the transport system is becoming harder to hide. Ghost rides and fuel theft are increasingly rare under the digital eye. Moreover, this model is highly scalable. The same systems used in the electric buses can be applied to other sectors: emergency vehicles, agricultural machinery, school transportation, and beyond. The foundation has been laid for a fully integrated and intelligent mobility ecosystem that few African nations have even attempted to conceptualize, let alone implement. But now comes the next phase: scaling this success beyond borders. What began as a quietly executed domestic project has caught the attention of neighboring nations. Delegations from Ghana, Togo, Mali, Niger, and even Senegal have visited the UA 2000 complex to witness the buses firsthand. They expected to see foreign-made systems repackaged in African branding. What they found instead was true innovation, engineered, coded, and manufactured entirely in Burkina Faso. That moment changed everything. What Burkina Faso had created wasn't just a national milestone, it was an exportable solution, one that other countries now want. The first international orders are already being negotiated. A new chapter may be opening, one where Burkina Faso is not just a user of global technology, but a proud contributor to Africa's industrial future. Across Africa, urban congestion is rising and diesel fleets are aging fast. Cities in neighboring countries are now looking to Burkina Faso, not just for the electric buses themselves, but for the complete ecosystem that powers them. From solar charging infrastructure to real-time tracking apps, from predictive maintenance systems to local technician training programs, everyone wants a piece of the model that Burkina Faso has built from the ground up. This marks a turning point in Africa's economic story. For decades, the continent has exported raw materials like cocoa, cotton, and oil, only to import the finished goods at a premium. But Burkina Faso is flipping that script. Instead of shipping out raw resources, it's now exporting high-value, finished products, specifically intelligent electric vehicles. This isn't a charity effort or aid package. These are premium, African-engineered machines being requested by fellow African nations as equal partners. President Ibrahim Traoré didn't just back a national transport project. He envisioned and executed a platform that can scale across borders by retaining full control over production, training, and design. Burkina Faso now holds the keys to regional expansion. They're not just building buses, they're offering a turnkey system that other countries can adopt and adapt. Cities across West Africa could soon see OE buses gliding through their streets, proudly stamped with "Designed in Burkina Faso," not some foreign brand. Even beyond West Africa, there's growing interest in East African capitals like Nairobi and Kampala. Demand is soaring for affordable, eco-friendly public transport. Traditional vendors, mostly from outside the continent, cannot meet these needs without massive external financing. But Burkina Faso presents a fresh alternative, one that keeps technology, value, and growth within Africa. This shift has drawn the attention of investors too. Impact-driven capital, green energy funds, and infrastructure firms are now circling a country they once ignored. They're not pitching aid anymore, they're offering deals, equity, and partnerships. The implications are profound for a nation long defined by poverty, instability, and dependency. This new narrative is transformative. Burkina Faso is becoming a benchmark, not a beneficiary. The success of the electric bus initiative is rippling across the economy. From solar panel installers and software coders to logistics managers and metallurgy technicians, Entire sectors are now seeing job creation. Young people who once dreamed of emigrating to Europe or Canada are now staying to train at the Itoe facility. But the real shift is deeper, it's mental. Once a country proves it can create something others want, it stops seeing itself as a perpetual consumer. It begins to understand its role as a creator, a supplier, and a leader. Now that Burkina Faso has built, powered, digitized, and exported its electric bus fleet, a larger question looms. Can this become a symbol for African renewal? When the government unveiled the new fleet, it didn't just roll out vehicles, it launched an idea. Pan-African unity has been a vision for decades, but it often remained just that, a dream. Now, with neighboring nations actively requesting Burkina Faso's innovations, that dream is taking physical form. These buses aren't just modes of transport, they are proof of concept for African self-reliance. This development aligns perfectly with the ambitions of the African Continental Free Trade Area (AFCFTA), which seeks to unite over 1 billion people into a single, shared market. While many trade agreements struggle with on-the-ground implementation, Burkina Faso's model provides a working prototype: zero-emission transport, backed by solar infrastructure and streamlined logistics, can travel from one African capital to another without foreign intermediaries. Soon, an electric bus built in Ouagadougou might be driven to Lome, serviced by a technician trained in Burkina Faso, and paid for in a Pan-African digital currency. Even global climate diplomacy is being reshaped by this initiative. African nations have long been pressured to cut emissions while being denied the tools to do so. Burkina Faso is now leading by example. Without waiting for permission or funding, they built a sustainable, fully electric fleet using local talent and solar energy. This shift allows Burkina Faso and others who follow to walk into climate summits not as victims pleading for support, but as equals offering scalable, real-world solutions. That change in posture could lead to better financing terms, sovereign carbon markets, and greater influence in setting international environmental policy. Politically, the ripple effects could be even more powerful. Across the region, reform-minded leaders and opposition figures are now pointing to the Itoe success story as evidence that self-sufficiency is possible without coups or dependence on old colonial networks. The once ignored industrial zone in Ouagadougou is becoming a symbol for a new Africa, one where solar panels and microchips hold more promise than commodities and weapons. This shift could hasten the long-anticipated generational turnover in African politics, favoring innovation over inertia. Financial institutions are also waking up. African banks that once refused to back hardware ventures are reevaluating their risk models after watching Burkina Faso deploy an entire electric fleet without default. Pension funds, Islamic banks, and development lenders from the global south are now exploring new projects tied to this success. These include plans for lithium battery recycling, solar fields in the Sahel, and even satellite systems to monitor transit networks. Each new initiative challenges the outdated belief that African progress must be measured by external credit ratings. But perhaps the most transformative shift is happening in the minds of African youth. For too long, the brightest minds in tech and engineering saw success as something to be achieved abroad. But now, social media is lighting up with videos of Burkina Faso's silent, solar-powered buses navigating urban streets. Those images are inspiring new ambitions. Instead of leave and build there, the mindset is shifting to stay and build here. Young developers in Lagos, Nairobi, and Lusaka are now organizing hackathons not just for fintech apps, but for solar-powered drones, clean transport, and smart agriculture tools. An entire generation raised on second-hand engines is now thinking about leapfrogging directly into a fully electric, digitally integrated future. Of course, the road ahead won't be without challenges. Scaling up production will test supply chains, infrastructure, and political resolve. External forces from oil lobbies to legacy transport firms will attempt to slow or sabotage this momentum. But even if the Itoe project were to stall tomorrow, its core idea has already taken root. Every African who has witnessed an electric bus quietly glide by, powered by sun and coded by locals, has seen a vision of what's possible. Every child who learns that their country doesn't need permission to innovate has been handed a new dream. This isn't just about transport anymore. It's about identity, about ownership, about proving that Africa can not only catch up, but lead. As 500 silent electric buses roll across dusty roads, they carry more than passengers. They carry a message, whispered across borders and loud enough to shake old empires. If Burkina Faso can do it, why not US?